Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are here every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And happy June 1st, everybody. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm here with Randy Donley and Mike Donley. We are the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago. And we're here today to talk about items you might have at home that you might want to sell at auction. We're the people for you. Hi, everybody. Hi, Randy and Mike.
Hey, Susan.
Tell us what's coming up at Donley Auctions. What's been happening? I know you guys have some interesting stories, as always.
So, Mike, you want to lead off?
Busy. Yeah. We have just been so busy with stuff coming in. Thank you all to the listeners out there for calling in and just flooding our phones with all the items you have for sale. It's really exciting. We've met a lot of you and consigned a lot of your items. I think coming up here, our first one we're going to talk about is our June phonograph and radio auction, which is June 12th and 13th. This is a midweek auction on a Wednesday and Thursday, which is a little unusual for us, but nonetheless, it's a Wednesday and Thursday. Is that already up online, Susan?
It's already online, and if you want to check out the catalogs, go to DonleyAuctions.com. Again, the radio auction is on Wednesday, June 12th, so we have radios and consoles, all kinds of great radio items, right, and parts and things like that. And we also have some vintage electronics. I saw some turntables and some receivers, things like that, speakers. So that'll be all on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, the phonograph auction. And, of course, that's antique phonographs, music boxes, lots of parts, advertising. You guys can talk about that and tell us what else is happening those 2 days.
Yeah, on June, on the Wednesday, the June 12th, the radio's there. Yeah, you mentioned vintage electronics. We're just moving into that because it seems to be what the younger generation is really starting to collect now, some of that vintage stereo units from the 60s and 70s. In fact, you may have seen me, Susan. I was playing with an Electra Home Apollo 711, built in 1970.
I saw that.
It looks like it's right out of Star Wars, doesn't it? In fact, I'm going to have Karen post a picture of that for us on the website because it is really cool. I texted a picture of that to my son, and he just went nuts for it. So there you go. There's something for everybody coming up in this auction.
I heard you playing the Star Wars theme music on it today. So
well,
it works.
There was a box of,
it looks great.
Yeah, there was a box of 33s here, and the first one I pulled out was the original Star Wars album, so it sounded great. It was so fitting for it, yeah. And so for phonographs, we've got everything from the first cylinder phonographs, which a lot of you are not familiar with the first types of phonographs play the cylinder, a wax cylinder. So we have machines from that era all the way on up to vintage stereos in the 1960s and 70s. So it's going to be something for everybody here, definitely.
Well, and Mike, I'd like to point out what, Susan?
Are we taking consignments for this auction still, or is this one closed?
No, we will have to defer to the next auction, but that doesn't mean don't call us and don't show us pictures and everything. But it's too tight for this one now. But I wanted to point out, because I'm actually here at the auction hall right now, and I'm walking through the aisles, and the radio equipment is absolutely wild and incredible. I overuse that expression, but the Scott radio equipment is so amazing because it was all chrome plated chassis, and we have a lot of Scott equipment. There's old Cathedral radios here by the dozens. There's really great Zenith radios. I mean, the radio display here is, very, very well done and interesting, way more than we normally have at a phonograph auction, all the radios.
Yeah, and I know from the collection they came from, a lot of them do work too. So that's very interesting.
I would say, Mike, I agree with you. I think most of these do work. Now, once a person called and complained to me, he said, Randy, why on earth would you put untested on something? That just means it doesn't work. Well, that doesn't mean that it doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen, but sometimes the cords on here are frayed and very dangerous, and you don't want to plug it in and short something out. So sometimes we just can't test the equipment, but by changing the cord, it probably will work.
That's correct, yes. That's one thing. If you do buy vintage electronics out of a garage or something like that, always check that cord, because they do dry out, and you can do more damage sometimes than you can imagine by shorting a cord out and then shorting a circuit board out or blowing tubes out of a chassis.
That's right. And just a reminder, the auction is June 12th and 13th. Mark your calendars. It's a Wednesday and a Thursday. Everything is online. We're still adding stuff daily, though. I see you guys have a whole table of parts and manuals and things. So we'll keep adding items daily, but there's several hundred already online at DonleyAuctions.com. Go check it out. Better yet, mark your calendar and come out here to Union, Illinois, because it is a live auction as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a preview on Tuesday, too, so if you're in the area Tuesday. And we're only an hour from downtown. Randy and I went downtown this morning to look at some stuff, and we drove downtown in an hour. So it's 45 minutes northwest of O'Hare Airport. We're closer than you think. So come on out and take a look at this stuff and test it out. I mean, it's fun just to hear it.
Well, that's right. Even if you can't be here, you can always bid online. So if you go to our catalog at DonleyAuctions.com, you can click on the button to our online bidding platform. We're on AuctionZip and Invaluable. We're going to be on Live Auctioneers pretty soon. And you can bid from home, from the convenience of your home or your car.
Well, that all sounds great, and I'm really looking forward to this one. But we'll talk. We've got some really interesting stories coming up in the next segments, and I want everybody to hang in there, because not only talking about what we're looking for, but a few tips on how to sell.
And before we get, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me touch base real quick, because we just have a couple minutes left here. I want to talk about our vintage watch fobs and display case auction that's coming up June 27th. So we're going to hit all the June stuff right away. But we have almost 1,000 watch fobs coming up for sale June 27th. It's online only, and that auction is on a Thursday. So again, if you go to DonleyAuctions.com, you can check out all the watch fobs. And I found an interesting story today that I want to share with everybody, and I'll talk really fast. But you know, the watch fobs are really one of the earliest forms of advertising, right? So in the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution created 2,000 manufacturers of farm and construction equipment. And in order to sell their products, they had to organize trade fairs. And a large percentage of Americans at the time could not read or write. You remember that? So they realized that many of the buyers could not recognize their trademark. So the early watch fobs had an engraving of the product on the front and a trademark symbol and maybe a brief message on the back for those who could read. So there's a little history about watch fobs. But my favorite story of all, I'll tell you about about Teddy Roosevelt. So some of the fraternal organization fobs are made from animal teeth or even claws. But sometime between the founding of the Order of the Elks in 1868 and the end of the 19th century, it became fashionable for members of the Order of the Elks to wear a genuine elk's tooth. It was polished and mounted in a gold casing and was commonly worn as a watch fob. The elk's tooth was so popular that in 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt suggested that the elk herds were being slaughtered in order to obtain these teeth to make the watch fobs, and now they were in danger of disappearing. So he appealed to the Grand Exulter ruler, stating that wearing of the elk's teeth by members was causing a great slaughter of elk, and asked them to abolish their members from wearing the teeth for decorative purposes.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Consequences you won't even think about.
Exactly. So what did? They sent out a special commission that spent weeks out in the elk territory talking to settlers and game wardens and hunters, and they finally concluded that, just because of civilization and their natural grazing grounds, which caused them to die out, that killing them for their teeth had a very minimal impact on the herds. All right, so they found that out, but However, President Roosevelt's recommendations were adopted, and thereafter manufacturers of fraternal fobs listed their charms as being, quote, genuine walrus ivory teeth, end quote. So there is
don't worry about wiping out the walrus.
Yeah, the walrus are okay.
Oh my goodness.
The elves they can too. Yeah. So that auction, everybody, coming up June 27th. It's online too, so you can go to DonleyAuctions.com to check that out as well.
Good. Thank you for that interesting story.
I know, right? Well, that's what we say, right? We're the people with interesting stories and things to say. So, again, we're not taking any more consignments for watch fobs, but we have more coming up. So this is the first of 2 auctions that we'll have. All right, so don't go anywhere, folks. We're coming up next. In our next segment, we're going to talk about our next gun and military auction in July and our Ferrari and sports cars advertising auction July 19th. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm co-owner of Donley Auctions. I'm here with Mike and Randy Donley, and we're just 60 miles west of Chicago. We're located in Union, Illinois. We have some auctions coming up in the next few months we want to talk to you about, but mostly we want to give you an idea of some of the items we're looking for that you might have at home or you have a friend who has something. We want you to give us a call at 815-923-7000 and see if we can get any of your merchandise in any of these upcoming auctions. Mike and Randy, tell us what's coming up in July.
Well, Susan, Mike and I have been traveling all over the states, and we have come up with 2 large collections of guitars and amps. One gentleman has over 40 guitars. Another gentleman has over 100. And these guitars are really great guitars. I mean, there's Gibson Les Pauls, there's Martin guitars, there's Fender amps. I mean, you name it, we've got it coming into this auction. But 140 pieces isn't an auction. We need about 800 items to launch a really good auction. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, if you have anything, whether it's just one item or an entire collection, we are looking for anything in vintage guitars and amplifiers right now and other musical instruments. It doesn't have to be a guitar. We're always looking for high-grade musical instruments, and who knows? Again, what you have could be the $1 million lottery ticket. So
that would be great.
Just let us know what you have. Either call us or go to Donley Info. Is that correct, Susan?
Actually, I want everybody to email us at consign@DonleyAuctions.com. It's CONSIGN@DonleyAuctions with an S.com. For those of you who are not so computer savvy, you can call us at 815-923-7000. We'll give you some options and let you talk to one of our experts to give you the next step.
You know, I'm really glad you mentioned that because I want to give a shout out to a couple of our great staff members, both Eileen and Lisa and all the people here, Lillian and everyone, because I'm getting so many compliments on our staff from those of you who call here and they walk you through all the steps and help you getting us photos and everything. So don't hesitate to call us. We're very happy that you do, and we'll, again, the girls will walk you through the steps as to what you need to do to get us to consignment.
They also told us that they're getting about 15 to 20 emails every single day. So be patient with us. We're going to get back to everybody and let you know, and that's what I love about you and Mike and our staff of experts here is you guys are very honest. You'll tell them direct, we can either sell it or we can't. Here's the reasons why. And then, give them the next steps on what to do.
Well, talking about that, Susan, the guitar collection that we just consigned this week actually took about a year in the planning from the time we first started talking to these folks until now to delivery. We're talking about a year. And I mean, that's not normal, but it can happen. I mean, a couple things. First, we're not going to rush you. We're not going to push you into doing anything. We will be there, and taking our time or allowing you to take your time to make sure that we do it right.
Yeah, and going back to the guitars, I mean, a lot of people have guitars in their closets. I mean, maybe their husband played or their wife played or their son or daughter played, and they no longer use it. And some of those are worth so much money. The Gibsons, the Fenders, like I say, the Martins. The electric guitars are most times going to be worth more than the acoustic guitars, but you have to check them out. And the amplifiers, most people think of amplifiers as big, huge, things that are up on stage in the bands and such like that. Some of the best amplifiers are small, only maybe about 12 inches by 12 inches square, just for single use in your home. Those are some of the hottest amplifiers. I mean, there's amplifiers that'll go over $1,000 just for these little early tube amplifiers. And guitars, Randy, I mean, the guitars will go into the tens of thousands easily, if you get a nice Les Paul or something like that.
Well, and we had a Gibson. What was it? No, it was a Martin D38, or was it a D18? I'm not sure. But it was a Martin guitar a year or so ago that brought $34,000 here at auction. And again, the family was surprised.
Yeah, it was under their bed. Remember?
that is correct. Yeah. So. Mike, you mentioned that a lot of these things are just stashed away in the corners and closets and attics and everything. And I keep pointing out to people, too often they turn up at somebody's garage sale for $5, $10, $25. You can't give this stuff away, folks. You have to have it checked out.
One of the requests we get a lot of are about pianos. What are your thoughts on auctioning pianos these days?
Well, I will say, I'm going to jump in there real fast and say 99.9% of pianos we will not take, not at any price. I mean, sadly, the cost of just moving them the first time normally exceeds the cost of the piano or the value. However, we still need you to check it out. You need to send us a photo. Because just when I say that, we can say the same thing. I keep using lottery tickets as an example. They're still, you throw away most of your lottery tickets, but every now and then, I mean, somebody's winning the big score, and it could be you with your antiques.
I know we also had in an auction not too long ago a harp. So when you're talking about high-end instruments, we're talking about harps, not pianos, but guitars, amps, things like that, right? So,
well, and violins. Some of the violins are worth a lot of money too. Or sometimes the bows are worth more than the violin themselves, because early bows and handmade bows bring a lot of money.
That happens so often. Is people throw the bow in? They think the bow should go with the violin, and as you pointed out, Mike, very often the bow is worth more than the violin itself.
Yeah, so 9 times out of 10 we separate the bows from the violins just because they sell on their own.
Sure.
So the moral of the story is come to Donley Auctions. Give us a call at 815-923-7000 or email us at consign@donleyauctions.com. All we need to know is just a brief description of what you have and some photos, and we will definitely get back to you on our estimated value. How about that? We'll keep it simple. All right, coming up next, we're going to be talking about our guns and military auction because, as you know, guns, firearms, ammunition, reloading gear, military relics are extremely valuable, and you guys are going to talk about that in our next segment, right? Because that's coming up in July.
We're definitely taking consignments for that now. I mean, if you have military items in your basement from your family or your parents or friends, relatives, wherever it comes from, we can sell it for you. I mean, don't as we just keep harping, check it out. It's worth a phone call or it's worth an email. You never, ever know. I mean, some of the things you think are just worthless. I mean, a shoulder patch sometimes on a Army uniform can be worth hundreds of dollars. I mean, just the littlest things. And if you don't know, why take a chance?
You know, Mike, just this week we did get a cigar box full of German insignia, and David has found 2 pieces in there that are each worth $400. So, you know, $800 in 2 little items in a cigar box makes a big difference rather than selling the whole cigar box for $10. So important.
How many times do we have guys that just hunt garage sales, bringing us stuff in? Oh, look what I picked up today. Look what I picked up today. So auction it for me. I mean, there's a few people that every auction they're raking in a few $100s here.
And the good news is at Donley Auctions, Randy Donley, Mike Donley, David Hill, we have 3 military experts who are here to tell you what your next steps are. And we have Neil, who is our gun expert, who will talk to you about any firearms you have. But we're going to talk about that in our next segment. Again, mark your calendar. July 13th and 14th is our next guns and military auction. And then in our next segment, too, we're going to talk about the sports cars in Lake Forest on July 19th. All right, so don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy and Mike Donley, and we have a special guest during this segment. Neil is our firearm expert who makes sure we toe the line with the ATF, and Neil's going to tell us a little bit about some of the items we have coming up in our July 13th firearm auction and how you can consign with us. Hi, Neil. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Susan. How are you doing?
We're doing great. I'm so excited. You know, firearms is pretty much a third of our business of the year. Hundreds and hundreds of firearms have gone through our auction hall. Tell us what you're looking for our July auction. It's not too late to consign, right?
No, not at all. We're going to have until about mid-June or so we can get everything advertised and everything. I'm looking for most any kind of gun. We deal with everything, including black guns that are prohibited here in Illinois, but we sell to 49 other states, so that's not a problem for us. I'm looking for hunting guns, hunting shotguns, 22s, anything you've got.
Yeah, you know, that's important because of a lot of people right now in Illinois here are looking at how do they dispose of the guns that are no longer acceptable here in the state of Illinois. The AR type rifles and some of the extended magazines and such. So Neil, when we take these in, these are sold out of state. So we do
Correct.
This legally for the people, and then they're out of it. They don't have to worry about it because right now, I mean, if they haven't registered that gun, you know, they could be in the jackpot on this, and we don't want that to happen to anybody. So we could legally handle all that and get these sold out of state legally for you.
Exactly. It's a good way to go. It's an easy way to go. We can come and get them. We can do it. A lot of things make it a lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are federal licensed firearms dealers, so we comply with all federal and state laws. So once we take them in, you are legally released of any responsibility for these firearms. We handle it from there. As far as any of the background checks, the shipping, anything like that, it's all done legally.
And if you do have anything to consign for our July 13th auction, that's firearms, ammunition, reloading gear, cleaning kits, taxidermy even, sportsman gear, hunting equipment, we'll take it all. Now's the time to consign. Just leave us an email at consign@donleyauctions.com, and we'll forward it to Neil, and he'll give you a call and definitely work with you on next steps.
You know, it's funny, Neil, because I've noticed you've been getting a lot of ammunition in, too. I mean, and ammo sells very well. People think that the ammunition gets old and is not good any longer. I mean, there's ammunition from World War II that's still very collectible and brings a lot of money. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I've actually shot ammo from World War II. 45 ACP, I've shot it, and it works great. The only thing you want to look for is like a green corrosion around the brass. If it doesn't have it, it's good to go.
Neil, you were showing me something the other day in a little box that was wrapped in wax. You were so excited about it. Tell us about that item.
We had in some Civil War pistol ammo, 38 caliber, and it's the old style of cartridge where the gunpowder was actually glued to the projectile. They haven't made it like that, and it's very rare, and we had them still in the original wrappers.
And what's something like that going to bring, you think?
Probably $2,000 to $3,000.
Darn! Wow, that's amazing.
In a little box.
It was 10 cartridges.
Yeah, it's not much bigger than just a little matchbox. It's just crazy.
Right. It's 12 cartridges, I'm sorry. 2 reloads for a 6-shot.
So there again, you never know. I mean, the average person might look at that and just throw it away. And there you go. There's a couple $1,000s right there.
Absolutely.
Again, don't forget to call us at 815-923-7000. You can talk to Neil direct. He loves talking with our customers. He'll even walk you through the 4473 form after you purchase a firearm with us. So Neil's your guy, that's for sure.
Thanks, Neil.
The auction. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
We'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
back at the office.
Yep.
Again, the guns and military auction coming up July 13th and 14th. If you have anything to consign, email us at consign@donleyauctions.com. Again, we just need some photos and a brief description. Randy, you back? Randy's back on the radio.
I am, and you know what? I wanted to mention too that I don't know if Neil mentioned this, but we did get a great collection in from a armorer from the movies, the movie industries. You know, anybody who actually uses weapons in the movies has to go through an armorer. That's who supplies the weapons to the movies. And this gentleman, famous armorer from the movie industry, has retired. And he is putting his whole collection up for sale in our July auction.
Yeah, there's some crazy-looking weapons in there. I saw some of that stuff coming out of that truck.
Wow. Good to know. So, again, folks, our whole calendar is on our website at donleyauctions.com. You got to check and see what's coming up in the future so that you can plan ahead to downsize, dig some stuff out of the attic, talk to Grandpa, just see if there's anything we can do to help you out. Give us a call at 815-923-7000. And the next auction we're going to touch base on in our next segment, don't go anywhere, are the Ferraris. The sports cars advertising in Lake Forest, July 19th. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with Donley Auctions Hour. Thanks for sticking with us during that break. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm co-owner of Donley Auctions. I'm here on the phone with Randy Donley and Mike Donley. We're located in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago. And we're talking today about some upcoming auctions that we have, and it's not too late to consign. For example, before we talk about consignments, we want to talk about the sports car auction, July 19th. Tell us about that one, Randy. It's a little bit different than what we normally do.
It really is. It's so incredible, this auction. Rick Mancuso, who, of course, is a famous driver himself, race car driver. Most people don't realize that. I mean, they know about Mancuso Ferrari and the Chevy dealer they had for years and everything, but they're not really that aware that Rick himself is a noted driver and has quite a history behind him. But Rick also is a collector. He collected up all of the wonderful advertising signs that over the years he had at the dealership, be it Ferrari, Lamborghini, Aston Martin. I mean, just fabulous signs and memorabilia, all kinds of great stuff. We're actually selling some cars for them also at the dealership. Now, the interesting thing about this auction is it's going to be at the Mancuso Motor site in Lake Forest, Illinois. and there's a limited amount of people that we can put in this building. So you're going to need tickets. If anybody wants to attend this auction live, you have to check with us to get a ticket. Very limited seating going to be available for this auction. But along with all of his great memorabilia, I mean, we have Richard Petty's race car. We have a Mario Andretti race car, an STP car. We have some of Rick's cars here that are actually going to be auctioned off. I mean, this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime memorabilia and car auction for the true racing enthusiasts. Mike, you were there. What did you think of this collection when you saw it?
Oh, that 57 Vet is so sweet. I am just in love with that thing. That is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. It's,
as you said, Randy, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. These cars just do not come up for sale ever. I mean, like I say, Richard Petty's race car, number 43, come on. I mean, once in a lifetime.
This is the car that Richard Petty won his second, third, and fourth race in. The car has been restored, and it's been tucked away in a museum for decades. This is the one chance. It's out on the market now. It's going to be available for sale Friday, July 19th. And if you want a rare race car, this is it. And again, once somebody buys it, it'll probably be off the market for at least another 20 years. But, I want to get back to all of the advertising. I mean, this stuff just doesn't come on the market. Ferrari is rare. They were so protective of their brand. They didn't allow fakes to be made. So if you want it, this is it.
I just wanted to jump in here real quick and let you guys know again about the tickets that you need. It's free admission, right? But to get on the VIP list, you need to give us a call at 815-923-7000 or email us at the same email, consign@Donley Auctions. We do have a list going now, so make sure you get on it. Give it a call.
We're always looking for more. We're looking for that next big hoard. This is how we find stuff. We're letting you know what we're looking for that can be the next big thing. And it's surprising to Mike and I how many times sitting, around the city of Chicago, we get into garages and warehouses and people have 30, 40, 50 vintage vehicles. So we're the guys. We can sell these for you. We can, our expression, we can make it fit in your wallet. And that's what we're going to be doing with this auction.
Hey, did you guys know that Rick Mancuso is involved with the program where he helps the Navy SEALs? He helps them move from active duty to civilian careers. Did you know that about him? I did not know that.
He is quite a guy. He really is, yeah.
It didn't, and I'm glad you brought it up because every day I learn something more incredible about this individual. Mancuso is just an incredible businessman.
So don't go anywhere. We have one more segment left, folks. We're going to tell you a little bit about why you should put things up in an auction versus selling them at estate sales, garage sales, the benefit of an auction. And we're going to also tell you how you can bid at an auction because, we talk about consigning things all the time, but we rarely talk about how you can actually bid and buy. So we'll talk about that in our next segment as well. But don't forget, August 17th and 18th is our big summer classic. So I know Mike and Randy have some amazing items. We're looking forward to add to that because there's still time to get in on the summer classic as well, August 17th and 18th.
Any coin-operated games. I mean, some of these games that were built in the 50s and 60s are really hot right now. The baseball machines, remember you'd put a dime in it and you'd press one button and the ball would pitch and you pull a lever and the bat would swing. Those things are so red hot right now. The bowling machines, pinball machines, any unusual arcade machines. I think we got one of those beam cranes coming in, Randy. You know which one I'm talking about? I think it was called Steam Shovel, where you pick up the beam.
Sure do.
And weigh them.
From being a kid.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. It's stuff we remembered as kids that we're really interested in seeing again now. So, I mean.
Don't forget, coming up August 17th and 18th, our summer classic. Mike and Randy are going to talk a little bit more about some of the items they're looking for this. It is not too late, folks. consigned or summer classic coin-op, cars, and more. Send us an email at consign@DonleyAuctions.com. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. We're talking about items you might have at home that you might find valuable that you want to put up for auction this summer. We have several auctions coming up. Go to DonleyAuctions.com for our calendar so you can kind of plan ahead and see what's coming down the road, because we definitely want to have items about a month in advance. So talk about the Summer Classic, Mike and Randy. I know we're still taking consignments for the August 17th and 18th auction.
Yeah, this is going to be our summer version of our fall and spring classic. I mean, there's just so much stuff coming in that we had to add a third one. It's going to have the best of the best. I mean, we have the only known standing Mr. Peanut Roaster coming in this. We have a great electric shock machine that's just unbelievable. I mean, just some really, really cool stuff coming up. But we're adding more. So, I mean, if you have one really killer piece that you want to, that's expensive. I mean, the more expensive, the better. I mean, don't ever think that we can't sell things that are, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. I mean, we have customers that are looking for this. The more unusual and the more expensive, the better. So send us those pictures.
Well, and Mike, mention or let's mention the fact that we just consigned an unbelievable collection of probably 200 vintage bicycles. And ladies and gentlemen, these aren't bikes like, you're thinking about $5, $10. I mean, these are some great Schwinn's. I mean, the Schwinn Phantoms and all the old Stingrays, Orange Crate, Lemon Crate. I mean, all the crate bikes. There's just a fabulous assortment of vintage bikes. The gentleman who collected these really had a good eye, knew what he was collecting, and everything is in as-found condition, which is the way a lot of collectors like to find their merchandise.
Yeah, and they're not beat to death by any means. I mean, they're just unrestored. They'll clean up nice, and they're good, honest bikes. I mean, if you want to restore them, you've got all the bones to do it there. But as Randy said, there's a lot of people that like them just as found, and these are beauties.
They really are. So call us, because we're adding to this collection, and we're not necessarily just going after the 1950s bikes, which seem to be at this point the most popular. I mean, we're actually also looking for the old high wheel bicycles, with that big 4-foot wheel and the 5-foot wheel in the front of the bike, and bone crushers where they had no, just a strict, rigid frame, no springs, no chain. It was a direct drive. I mean, some of the early bikes we're looking for, you might have in your garage or basement.
Can we just say that we're mainly looking for items that have wheels, right? Because I saw the barn finds out in front of the Wild West town. There's like 15 cars out there. Those are also in August?
They are, Susan, and they all came from one woman, Diane, who listens to our show regularly, and, of course, she listens to us on the Sean Thompson Show. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, always listen to Sean Thompson every day at 4 o'clock, because we're constant guests on there, and we cross-promote each other's show.
So don't forget, send us an email.
Cars, motorcycles, I mean, anything, pedal cars, like you said, Susan, anything with wheels.
Anything with wheels, that's right. Real quick, what's the benefit of putting it at auction, you guys?
The best prices.
The best prices, that's right. Tune in next week for the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560. The Answer. We'll have another show about some interesting items you might want to put up for auction. But for now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy.
And I'm Mike.
And we'll see you at the auction.
See you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.